Get and lads, welcome back to the Full Podcast. My name is Elijah. I'm with Diego and Andres. Per usual, we're going to be giving you guys our top 5 rankings of the defenses in the Concacaf region. But before we get into it, though, leave a like if you guys agree with our rankings. Leave a comment down below your thoughts on our rankings and how you would rank the top 5 yourself. And then make sure you subscribe for a lot of the best Concacaf content on YouTube. Andres, your number 5. Start us off with a bang.
Jamaica.
Okay,
I've had
cool.
I had to include the Reggae Boys in this one. Now,
Naturally.
I hear me out. I know it's been a tough couple months for the Reggae Boys, especially defensively. That second leg game was brutal to watch against the United States. On paper, they're really good. On paper, we always have to say this for clarification purposes. On paper, they're really good. They struggle at times, lack the fundamentals in terms of communication, and they get open up very easily at times, which is the most frustrating thing. Because if they could just defend how they defended in the first leg against the United States when it's just 1-0, I then I could be like, okay, this defense can be 4, maybe 3, but they just keep lacking. Like lapses of concentration result in like really easy goals to give away. But because of these performances in certain games, where yes, they lose the game by 1 goal or something, but I'm still confident that if they can just play well, and I think with time they can finally get it right. I think with Hayden they can bolster their defense just a little bit. But I don't know. I still have confidence and faith in this Jamaican side, and honestly, like certain I don't know what your guys' list are, but I'm just saying for me, like I was thinking about Panama putting Panama 5. It's for me that they're on an honorable mention, but they do leak a lot of goals as of lately against the United States, Mexico, stuff like that. But
You
if
don't
you
have
look at
Panama in your top 5 at all?
no, I don't. I do not.
Oh
I
my
do not. I
god.
told you. I told you it's going to be a little controversial once again on my end.
Jeez.
But I picked someone else, and I'm confident in that regard. But yeah, I picked Jamaica 5. I got to give a shout out to the Reggae Boys because I still believe in them. I know someone lost faith, and that is Diego, but I still believe. I still believe.
Yeah, I mean, my number 5 was Jamaica too. And I'm the biggest Figure Boy supporter here, but I do have him in number 5. I think they deserve to be in the top 5 conversation. Ethan Pinnock, when he's around, carries that defense pretty good. And when he is in that back line, I think the defense is completely changed. It is a hugely different back line with Ethan Pinnock there. They do have some other really good pieces. Amari Bell at Luton Town is a very good piece. They added Mason Holgate, who is a good player on his own, but has not been good for Jamaica recently, but he still is there. Deshaun Bernard has the potential to be really good. Tavon Gray, Lembikisa both have the potential to be really good. Damian Lowe is historically a very, very good player in the MLS. I think Jamaica's got to be in there. But yes, you're right. It needs consistency, which they don't have. And I think that also is down to the amount of troubles they have with injuries and selection issues and all these things that Jamaica has always had problems with when picking their teams. They're not able to have a set back line in the way that maybe USA does, in the way that the Canada does. Jamaica have the potential to have a really good defense. It just isn't. But I still, in relation to the rest of CONCACAF, I do think they deserve to be in top 5. Darius, number 5.
Costa Rica, my number 5. I like their fullbacks a lot, actually. Just for them specifically, Costa Rica, they have Jalen Mitchell. He's a young
I love
one,
Jalen Mitchell,
up and coming. Feyenoord. What's that look? Oh,
the young one. Just has had
whoa.
to.
Okay, all right, all right, Drake. And I think I think the Eredivisie is a good league to really kind of start developing those talents. And on the other side, you got an experienced one at 32 years old who plays for in the Turkish league. I don't know how to say his name, so I don't want to butcher it. But
The honesty.
yeah, and then was it called? No, I was looking at someone else.
Well, in the Turkish league, Francisco Calvo also is very good in the back line. He's averaging a 7-6 in the season for his team, so you guys know.
Was that on Sofa?
On FOMOP. Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, 7-6.
There you go.
Which actually is crazy. Actually, that's actually insane. Former FC Juarez player, by the way. That guy.
FC really?
Liga MX shout out.
Yeah.
Still shit though.
And I think just to point to Costa Rica as well, they are obviously in the big games. They're usually set up a little more compact because they don't have the talent to control the ball. So yes, you can point to them because of that. They're set up to support the defense a little more. But I do think, like looking at their most recent games as well, they haven't conceded too much. I think the biggest loss recently was against Colombia, who's a very, very good team, and that was only a 3-0 loss. It wasn't this like any like demolition, and so I think they're able to really defend well, even if it is sitting back and compact. At the end of the day, you still got to defend well, and that defense sets up nicely.
Very true. Very true. All right, it goes to number 4, which is where I put Panama. I do have Panama in there. I do like Panama a lot. I mean, solid defense. I guess the job done against really big teams pretty somewhat consistently. Not every time. They do leak a lot of goals in, but that does tend to be against the best teams. But for Concacaf standards, I think Panama has the top four defense. I don't think there's anyone else I can compare it to. It's good enough and it gets the job done, which is what I feel like that's the whole deal with Panama is they know how to really get into the opponent's skin. They know how to lock the defense down when they need to. Most of the time, obviously, the last game was out against Costa Rica was very close for them, and they almost didn't make it out of there. And the defense would have let them down there.
Controversial,
but,
controversial. Some would say,
yeah, absolutely. But against the likes of, let's say, the USA and Copa America, yes, they were up a man, but even then, I still think they look really, really good. So Panama 4. I know Diego agrees with me on Panama 4. Diego, your reasoning?
I like actually. First of all, their left back Blackman. I think he's a very good defender. I saw him play against Man City. I saw a highlight. I was randomly on my social media feed. He like a highlight of his on against Man City when playing in the Champions League, and he was good. He was really good. And I know it's a highlight, right? But like I was like, damn, okay, I hadn't really heard of that guy before. But when I saw him, and it kind of stuck with me. And then I think he looks good. I like Jose Cordoba, FM legend. I use him a lot in FM. But he's playing at Norwich, and Norwich it's a championship. Championship is one of the toughest leagues to play in because it's Brexit tackles and huffball, and you just it's just nonstop. So like it's proper football. So he's getting his kicks in and getting kicked. But I think those defenders give him a few years. A lot of them are pretty young. Give them a few years. I think they're developing some nice players.
Yeah, they also have Michael Murillo. There you go, Murillo for you.
Murillo, yep.
Right back, who is I think one of the starters, if not one of the main players of Marseille over in France, who has also been having a fairly good season. He had a really good August, September, October kind of era for Marseille, and for a team that has been in the news a lot recently for their signings and whatnot, and have found somewhat good success in Ligue 1. I think he's a big player there, and he's a big addition for Panama. I mean, he's just a huge player for both sides there. Andres, your number 4, which actually I'm really interested in hearing.
This is where my list gets controversial and borderline suspicious. I put Costa Rica at 4, and I know. I can see your faces. You're like, this guy's an idiot. Possibly. I possibly am. But I just, looking back on their previous games, it's watching the game against Panama, where they did lose, but very, very unfortunate. I'm not going to lie. They had 2 goals early disallowed right at the end. But I was inspired by their Copa America performance. They held Brazil 0-0. Yes, Brazil had a shit Copa America. I think we can all agree on that.
True.
They lost 3-0 to a very good Colombian side. That's nothing to be ashamed of. And then they beat Paraguay, which is confident a little bit. But I was originally, my initial thought, hear me out, was Panama. I was originally going to think that. And then I was just like thinking about it, like every time Mexico's played Panama, or like when they played against at least the top 3 in the Concacaf, and especially against Jamaica, they've lost against Jamaica too, 1-0 recently. I was just thinking to myself, like it's usually 2 or 3 goals they lose by. It's not like a close game anymore. It just maybe because I feel like the top 3 kind of figured them out on a little bit. I was gonna put Honduras because they're a tough to play against at home, and then I realized they're leaky defense all over the place, especially in second legs. So I realized I can't put them. So I was like, I'm confident in Costa Rica. They didn't allow any goals scored against them in the Nations League group stage, and they finished top of their group. But I don't know. I just kind of want to make it a little spicy and put Costa Rica 4. Be a little unique. I feel like it's valid. I think they're
not the worst thing in the world.
Tough team to break down, and they barely lost to Panama, who's in the semis right now. So, I mean, not a horrible shout out, but just wait till my top 3. Just wait. You're gonna love it.
God. Okay. Number 3. We move into the top 3. I'm gonna start number 3 with Mexico. Number 3 is where Mexico goes for me.
One day, Elijah, I will hear 2 come out of your mouth.
Well, okay. I will say the top 3. This was hard. This took me a long time to figure out. This top 3 is hard. You could fairly evenly put any of the top 3 in any order, and I wouldn't disagree with you. It's very hard, but for sake of ranking, I put Mexico in 3 because
I'm a hater.
Defense, yes, defense. Mexico's defense has been a long time issue. For the longest time, Mexico's defense was their biggest shortcoming. Once the era of Rafa Marquez was done, after that, they had nothing. Only until fairly recently, right? Fairly recently. Now these players are getting the likes of, there's 2 of them in, exactly, 2 of them in the team of the tournament so far for the Nations League and whatnot for the team of the round.
Come on, say the second
still,
defender. I know you love him. Come on, say it.
Jorge Sanchez. But as a defender, he's not that good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyways, Mexico's defense, it's good. I do think it's really good. Like I said, you could put them in 1 or 2, and I wouldn't complain about it. It is good, but it's recent, which to me still makes it very vulnerable. I do think there are still some times it's very vulnerable. A big issue with me too is that they haven't really found the set back 4. They have the center backs, but the fullbacks are it could be anyone. And for me, like the lack of consistency with that, which has been a rather big problem over the past few months, is a reason why I don't want to put them higher. Left back is a big problem for them. It is a huge problem for Mexico where they don't have a set left back to the point where they're bringing Gallardo in, right? You have a lot of options, but there's no one in there who I feel like a lot of Mexicans are very confident in. Same with the right back. It is a little better with the right back situation, but it's not the same. You have Araujo, but he should be the number 1, but he's not because he's having to deal with a lot of injuries and he's not playing for Bournemouth even when he's healthy. You have Jorge Sanchez, who is okay, but he's there because he's experienced with the Mexican national team. You have Huescas, who in my opinion is will be the best out of those 3. I really like Huescas a lot, but even then, he has his moments of not looking that good. So that's why the center backs are very good. You have 3 really, really good center backs in there. You have Reyes, Orozco, and Montes that you can feel very confident in. You have Malagon, who is pretty confident. Without a doubt the best Mexican keeper right now. It's a decent number 1. So yeah, Mexico number 3 for me. But like I said, 2 or 1, I'm not going to complain. Mexico number 3 by default. Diego, you're number 3.
I have an interesting one here. I have the USA at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so glad he's back. So glad he's back.
Prefacing that with the fact that I do think Anthony Robinson is a top 3 defender in the Concacaf. But I just think the rest of the defense is too inconsistent and weak for me to put them any higher than 3. I love Anthony Robinson. I think he's really, really, really good. But Matt Turner, remember, goalkeeper's a part of this. Matt Turner is not someone that convinces you on the daily. I think he's okay.
Watch, sorry,
he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. I mean, yeah. Tim Ream should not be your starting defender anymore.
I think that kind of says it all. Tim Ream, literally.
Tim Ream. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for Tim Ream. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like shocker on my end, a shocker on my end, but I also put the United States. But my literally reasoning was just going to say Tim Ream, and then I was just going to move on. Like that's your starting center back. That's all I have to say.
Valid. That's valid.
So Tim Ream, respect to it when he was doing well and in his prime, but he's 37 now. He's nearing the end of his career. It's time to move on. I think they recently have been playing with Mark McKenzie. I think he's good. I think he has room to grow for sure, like a lot of young players do. And at right back, you got Joe Scally. I know the Destas might be coming back, but none of them really convinced me a lot. Like I'm not like, yes, this guy's it, And for me, I think I'm not saying there's not room to grow, and I think the US do have a lot of room to grow, and that's what's so exciting, that they have a lot of room to grow in a lot of places. But as of right now, if you ask me, pick your top 3, like choose one defense from each of those top 3 teams, I'm not picking the US. They're gonna come into 3rd for me.
Okay. All right. And then Andres says USA as number 3 with Tim Ream. Right?
Tim Ream. 2 words. Tim Ream. That's all I got. I'll say 5 if we can include characters in terms of a comma. No, I'll say 6. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to do the math. No, 5. Yep, 5. I can do math. Tim Ream and Matt Turner. My reasoning right there. Boom. All right, on to 2.
I was
number 2. Shut up.
I was so confused with the numbers.
Yeah, clearly you could tell I confused myself. So
that's okay. That's okay.
Moving on very quickly. Number 2, Elijah. Who do you pick?
Canada. I have number 2. Now again.
The bias is crazy. The bias is crazy.
Okay, that means for me, obviously, USA is number 1. Let me explain from my side of this. Okay, and like I said, you could have all these 3 in whatever combination, and I would not be upset. I think all these fair. Canada have a really good claim to be number 1, but for whatever reason, I put them number 2. They don't have Tim Reed, no. They do have a really good starting 4. Bombito, fantastic defender, really good for Nice. They have Derek Cornelius when he's healthy for Marseille. You have Alphonso Davies, who of course is one of the best Concacaf players, playing for Bayern Munich on a rather consistent basis. You have Alistair Johnson at right back, who is a important part to the Celtic side on a club basis, and obviously for Canada on an international basis. My issue with that, though, is I think beyond that, there's not a whole lot. Beyond that, it's okay. I think Maxime Crepeau is okay. He's number 1. I think St. Clair is starting to make that claim a little bit to be number 1. The goalkeeping situation is decent. It's good enough. But the B team for this Canada defense is what kind of brings it down for me a little bit. Now, I do think Canada is, like I said, still very good. There's still some kinks to iron out. We saw that with the Copa America, which is a little bit ago now, but I think they still hold true to a little bit where the center backs need to develop a little bit more, which is what I would say with the defense. I do think you can easily make the claim for number 1, yes, but I do have Canada number 2. Now for the USA number 1, though, for me, it's a little bit the depth conversation there. I do think depth is overall pretty good. I do think you're not giving enough credit to them a little bit. To the overall defense, Diego. I will say Anthony Robinson is, in my opinion, the best left back in the Premier League. Right back, Joe Scally is very solid for Mönchengladbach, but you also have Serginho Dest, who is really good. Serginho Dest on his day is very good. He is huge for PSV. He is huge for the USA. Center backs, you have Chris Richards, who is a consistent player for Crystal Palace and does do a pretty good job when he does play. You also have the likes of Cameron Carter-Vickers, who is one of the best, if not the best defenders in the Scottish League. You have, Tim Ream, whatever, I'm going to throw him out. You have Mark McKenzie, who is young, high potential for Toulouse in France, also very, very good in my opinion, who deserves more opportunity. You have Austin Trusty, who is a Sheffield United player who just moved to Celtic as well, to combine with Alistair Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers, who is also a part of that really good backline for Celtic, and he had a really, really good performance, and I believe it was the Europa League or the Champions League. I forget which league they're in. I think Champions League. Not too long ago, a week or two ago. So I think there's a lot of really good pieces for the USA that are not getting the credit they deserve. Now, for USA, yes, there is. I do think they kind of fall into that Mexico problem where they don't really have the consistent back four as they want to because of injuries and suspensions, whatever, all these things. But on their day, with the set back four they should have, I do think it's the best in Concacaf. It's just a matter of bringing everybody in right now. So that's why I put the number 1. I'm pretty confident putting the number 1. You could put Canada over USA as a 1-2. I'd be okay with that, but I have USA number 1.
So I'm curious. So we know you're 1 and 2. Diego, did you put Mexico 2 or 1?
I put Canada 2, Mexico 1.
Oh,
really?
Oh,
I was not expecting that. I'm
actually shocked
Diego.
by that. I put Mexico 2, Canada 1. Oh. I love this. I love this, Diego. Oh, I want to hear this. Tell me this reasoning.
Well, for me, I put Canada number 2 because I think, as Elijah was saying, at their back four is really good. Now, Alphonso Davies, while he's very, very good when he performs well, which I feel like we said with a lot of players on their day, when they perform well, they're great, and that's good. But I need that consistency. So again, when like Elijah was saying with the U.S. defense, I think he was giving them a lot of credit, more than they should get. Because yes, when they're on their day they're good. But again, it's all about the consistency. And Alphonso Davies falls into that trap where I can't. Yeah,
you can't say this. You can't put Mexico number 1 then.
Well, yes, you can. We're in hot form, baby.
Yeah, but that's form. You just said it's form. Mexico, like I said, have only up until the past few months have had a somewhat reputable defense. Right.
Well, then it argues the question: when are we basing this off of? Like right now or like overall? Because then the list is fucked.
Yeah, no, obviously. But Mexico are in good form with their defense, yes. But they conceded 2 to Honduras. Like, where does that play a role? Where does that play a role? We can talk about the Copa America.
Ochoa.
We can talk about the Copa America too. Like, where does that play a role? Like, yes, Mexico is in decent form, but counting what? What, the game against the USA, the friendly against the USA,
Yeah, Dos a Cero.
and
Honduras, man. And Canada.
Yeah, the second game where Honduras even try to play on the attack. But that's what I mean. Is like if I'm not saying I disagree with you, Diego. Like, yeah, sure, consistency. But then Mexico can't be number one. If it's a true consistent, full consistency, Canada's gonna be number one. Canada has to be number one.
Let him do his thing. I like Diego's reasoning here. I really do. I think he's onto something.
Again, I'll agree with Elijah that I think for me, like, the top three are really close. Obviously, there's not like, I don't think there's one team like is clear favorites on defense here.
It just depends on how you look at it, I think.
Sure, yeah, it depends on how you look at it. And I'll get into why I really like a couple players on Mexico's team. But just to finish with Canada, because I do think they deserve a lot of credit. And I do think, in my opinion, they can definitely become number one. I like the two center backs a lot. They're both young, and they made a few mistakes in the Copa America. I'm sorry, not Copa America. The Copa America. What am I saying? Yeah, the Copa America.
Just your gut.
That's my bad.
You got this.
Yeah. The Copa America. They made a few mistakes. I saw that. I was like, totally a young center back kind of mistake. Like it was such a classic center back mistake. I've seen it plenty of times, especially when Tottenham were playing there. When we play some of our youngsters, and I'm like, oh, he misjudged that flight of the ball badly, and like it went over his head, kind of thing. And like that's why I feel like it happens. And here's the thing: the defense is such a easily criticized position because one mistake in defense and you cause the goal, or someone's still on goal. Compared to one mistake on offense, you misplace a pass. Oh well, your team will win it back. Maybe like it's so much easier to criticize and go after a defender that I think that you have to be so much more consistent. Defense and in midfield to like really start getting those praises, from people. So I don't want to like jump on any of these defenders for US, Canada, or anything too much because I do think it's such a hard position to play. But I really like the defense. I think they have a lot of room to improve. And like you said, Alistair Johnson is a solid right back. I like Bombito. I love saying his name. Bombito's a fire ass name.
Bombito.
And so yeah, I like them a lot. And I think Dean St. Clair is actually really good. I was seeing him play also. Like I know, yes, we walloped Minnesota 6-2, but he had some really good saves in that 6-2. And honestly, it was not his fault that they lost 6-2. None of those saves were like anything that he could have prevented. So, anyways, that's number 2. Mexico number 1. I'll be honest, I really like Vasquez. I think he's super underrated. He plays in the Serie A, which is actually one of those leagues that yes is a slower league, but you need to be able to like because the way it works, like they're slow and then boom out of nowhere, like they send a cross in. They're kind of playing into your box, and you need to be locked in out of nowhere. And so I think I really like Vasquez for that reason. I think he's really good, and I think Cesar Montes is a solid partner next to him. I don't think he's amazing. I think you could probably get someone better, but he provides the height that you need. I think you need that tall center back sometimes to win those headers. And I like Huescas a lot. I think he's a baller. And I don't love Jorge Sanchez or
You're not the only one, bud.
Yeah. But Huescas, I'm with him. Araujo, I have a special connection. I think he could ball out too, playing for Bournemouth as well.
He's confused.
Left back, we don't have to talk about left back. I don't get me wrong. I think we.
You gotta give credit to Gauri. Like we criticize him a lot for being in the squad, but he has shown up when he has played recently. Fair. So
he's one of those players. He puts in the shift every game, and I gotta give credit for that. Yes, technically speaking, he's never gonna wow you ever, but he always puts in a shift. And I'm going to give him credit for that because you got to do that. He's no Anthony Robinson, but he puts in the shift.
Does the job sometimes.
So I like Mexico number 1 just because I feel like I don't know. I just have a vibe with them. I don't know how to explain it. And I'm not. This is not a bias to Mexico. You guys know I'm not usually that way, but I just have a vibe for that defense. I don't know. I got a feeling.
Right. It's fair. Feliz Andres.
Okay, so mine's Mexico 2, Canada 1. So I'll make this one relatively quick. Mexico, I say is on the up. I put them over the United States because we beat them 2-0, right? But also because I just see us more defensively solid. But I think with Orozco being introduced in the squad, I really liked him against the Honduras in that second leg. Personally, I think the new partnership should be Johan Vasquez and Orozco, because Cesar Montes is often bailed out, I feel, with Johan Vasquez, and he got bailed out and he got exposed a little bit when he was with Israel Reyes in that first leg, and literally one of the goals is from his own mistake, giving
Vasquez
away
is so good
cheaply.
though. I'm just saying.
No, I agree. No, I think he should be in the starting lineup, but I don't think Montes should be starting anymore in that regard. Fair. Like, I think we should give the youngster a shot, especially he's only 22. The only thing I do agree with Elijah is our outside backs are a little bit suspect at times. I agree. I'm not a big fan of Jorge Sanchez, but I think Araujo is probably not going to be a part of the squad for a while. If I'm being honest.
No, he just had surgery too.
No, I know exactly. It's injury, and then also just like consistency is like he's just constantly injured. I feel like, so it's just unfortunate for him because he's beloved amongst the Mexican fan base. So very unfortunate. But I think Huescas did have a good shout. I would say he played for a very long time in that second leg, and I thought he did a very good job. Left back guard, I'm okay with for right now. I'm sure we have some other players available. I'm still a big fan of Arteaga, so hopefully he gets a shout again. I'm very happy with Malagon, how he's settled in the squad. I was a little suspect of our goalkeeping situation, but I'm glad he's found his form and he seems comfortable back there. So taking up the mantle over Ochoa is glad it's a smooth transition. So that's my number 2, just because it's new. It would be number 1, but it's a new thing, and I think Aguirre's finally found the formula. It took a little bit, but I think he's finally found it. So if we can just continue playing well defensively, I think they can easily be number 1. But as everyone said in the past, like literally in all their talks, it's interchangeable. I feel like it just kind of depends on the day and how well these defenses play. And then Canada just literally, they're number 1 in Concacaf for a reason. They showed up in the Copa America, and their defense came up clutch in every single game until they got knocked out in the semis. So I can't really blame them. Literally, they went to penalty shootouts. So in defense wins championships. So I can't really bark on them. And I got to give credit. The reason why I put them also first is I was worried with Canada they would give up a silly goal against Suriname in the first leg, but they took care of business. They got a clean sheet in both legs, and they look dominant. And they look comfortable in both games. So I am interested to see what they do against Mexico. And it's literally a battle of seeing who's better. So that's going to be a really good game to look forward to in terms of how the Concacaf shapes up. But yeah, Canada 1 and Mexico 2 for me.
All right. Well, I was going. Of course, let us know your comments in the comments down below, your opinions on who you would rank 1 to 5 in terms of Concacaf defenses. That's going to be it for us, guys. We're going to do a lot more Concacaf content in the future, so make sure to subscribe for that. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and then, see you guys later.
Peace.